Juan Martín del Potro, often nicknamed Delpo, is an Argentine professional tennis player who is currently ranked world number 8 and is the highest-ranked Argentine. Del Potro achieved a top 10 ranking by the Association of Tennis Professionals for the first time on October 6, 2008. In January 2010, he reached a then-career high ranking of world number 4, after which Del Potro had to withdraw from most of the tournaments in 2010 due to a wrist injury. He is coached by Franco Davín. Having started playing tennis at the age of 7, Del Potro won his first senior match in 2004 at the age of 15. In 2008, he became the first player in ATP history to win his first 4 career titles in as many tournaments. He also completed the second longest winning streak in 2008, and the second longest by a teenager in the Open era, behind Rafael Nadal with his winning sequence spanning 23 matches over 5 tournaments. Del Potro captured his first Grand Slam title at the 2009 US Open, defeating Nadal in the semi-final and Roger Federer in the finale. The first man to defeat them both in the same Grand Slam tournament. Del Potro is one of only 3 players other than the Big Four to have won a men's Grand Slam singles title since 2005, the others being maɾʻtin and Stanislas Wawrinka. He became the second Argentine and the 5th youngest man to win the US Open title in the Open era. Del Potro also won the bronze medal in men's singles at the London Olympics in 2012. Early life: Juan Martín del Potro was born in Tandil, Argentina. He is of Italian descent. His father, Daniel del Potro, played semi-professional rugby union in Argentina and is a veterinarian. His mother, Patricia, is a teacher and he has a younger sister named Julieta. Del Potro speaks Spanish, English and some Italian. Aside from tennis, he enjoys playing association football and supports the Boca Juniors team in Argentina and Juventus in Italy. He would often dedicate time to both sports during his childhood, and Argentine-Italian international footballer Mauro Camoranesi remains a close friend of Del Potro. Del Potro began playing tennis at the age of 7 with coach Marcelo Garcubes. Del Potro's talent was discovered by Italian ex-tennis professional Ugo Colombini, who accompanied him through the initial phases of his young career, and is still today his agent and close friend. When questioned about his ambitions in tennis he replied, "I dream of winning a Grand Slam and the Davis Cup." However, he has refused to participate in the Davis Cup several times. He is a Roman Catholic. Tennis career: 2002 Euro 2005, as a junior in 2002, Del Potro won the Orange Bowl 14s title, beating maɾʻtin en route to a victory over Pavel Chikov in the final. In 2003, at the age of 14, Del Potro received wildcards to 3 ITF circuit events in Argentina, where he lost in straight sets in the first round of each. As a junior Del Potro reached as high as number 3 in the combined junior world rankings in January 2005. In May 2004, Del Potro won his first senior match, at the age of 15, at the ITF circuit event in Buenos Aires by defeating Matías Niemisz. He then went on to lose in 3 sets to Sebastián Decaud in the second round. His next victory came over 5 months later against the Chilean Alvaro Loyola in a tournament in Antofagasta. Later that year, Del Potro reached the quarter-finals of the ITF circuit event in Campinas, Brazil, recording victories over Enrique Melo and Alessandro Camargo. Del Potro won 2 more matches before the end of the year and saw his world ranking rise from number 1,441 in August to number 1,077 in November. He also reached the finals in the Argentina Cup and Campeonato Internazionale d'Italia junior tournaments. Del Potro reached his first final of the ITF junior circuit on January 11, 2005, the Copa del Café, junior ITF tournament in Costa Rica, which he lost to Robin Haase in 3 sets. He was involved in a dispute with the umpire during this match, who decided to stop play because of rain, which Del Potro believed favored Haase. Because of the rain delays, the final set had to be played indoors. This was the first time the indoor courts had been used in the 44-year history of the youth tournament. At the age of 16, Del Potro reached his first senior singles final at the Futures Tournament in Berembau Naucalpan, Mexico, where he lost to Darko Majerovski. He then went on to win consecutive titles at 2 future ITF circuit events in Santiago, Chile, including the 26th International Junior Tournament. In the first tournament, he beat Jorge Aguilar, and in the second, he did not drop a set in the whole tournament and defeated Thiago Alves in the final, a player ranked more than 400 places higher at the time. He won his third title in his home country by defeating Damian Patriarca, who forfeited the match, at the ITF circuit event in Buenos Aires. Del Potro turned professional after the Italy F17 event in Bassano, and in his first professional tournament, the Lions Trophy in Reggio Emilia, he reached the semi-finals, where he lost to countryman Maɾ្tin Barcelona 1/4 in 3 sets. 2 tournaments later, he reached the final of the Credicard City Mastercard Tennis Cup in Campos do Jordão, Brazil, where he lost to Andra Copyright in straight sets. After turning 17, he won the Montevideo Challenger by defeating Boris Poranski in the final in 3 sets. That same year, he failed in his first attempt to qualify for his first Grand Slam, at the US Open, losing in the first round to Paraguayan Ramón Delgado. Throughout 2005, Del Potro jumped over 900 positions to finish with a world ranking of number 158, largely due to winning 3 futures tournaments. He was the youngest player to finish in the year-end top 200. 2006, in February, Del Potro played his first ATP Tour event in Via ± Del Mar, where he defeated Albert Portas, before losing to Fernando González in the second round. Later, seeded 7th, he won the Copa Club Campestre de Aguascalientes by defeating the likes of Dick Norman and Thiago Alves, before beating Sergio Reutemann in the final. Del Potro qualified for the main draw of his first Grand Slam in the 2006 French Open at the age of 17. He lost in the opening round to former French Open champion and 24th seed Juan Carlos Ferrero. Having received a wild card, he reached the quarterfinals of the ATP event in Umag, Croatia, where he lost in 3 sets to the eventual champion, Stanislas Wawrinka. In Spain, he participated in the Open Castilla y Leeuwarden Challenger tournament held in Segovia, defeating top seed Fernando Verdasco in the quarter-finals and Benjamin Becker in the final. Del Potro qualified for his first US Open in 2006, after being seeded 9th in the qualifying stages, where he beat Brian Verhuley, Wayne Arthurs, and Daniel Lara in straight sets. In the US Open, he lost in the first round to fellow qualifier Alejandro Falla of Colombia in 4 sets. He went on to qualify for his first ATP Masters Series tournament in Spain, the Mutua Madrileña ± Madrid Open, where he lost in the first round to Joachim Johansson. After receiving a wild card thanks to Roger Federer, he reached the quarterfinals of the 2006 Davidoff Swiss Indoors in Basel, Switzerland. Defeating lucky loser Tobias Clemens in the first round and George Bassel in the second round, before losing to the eventual runner-up Fernando González in 3 sets. Del Potro finished 2006 as the youngest player in the top 100 at 18 years, 2 months. 2007. Del Potro began the year by reaching his first semi-final in ATP Adelaide, Australia, where he lost to Chris Guckchen, having beaten Iga Kunitsin earlier in the day. He then reached the second round of the Australian Open, where he had to retire because of injury in his match against eventual finalist Fernando González in the 5th set. In February, Del Potro played for Argentina in the first round of the Davis Cup against Austria, winning the 4th and deciding match against Jawan Gen Meltzer in 5 sets, allowing Argentina to qualify for the quarterfinals. Del Potro defeated Feliciano Lacubde before losing to eventual semi-finalist Mardy Fish in the second round of the indoor region's Morgan Keegan Championships. In his next ATP Masters event, he reached the second round of the Pacific Life Open, beating Gustavo Kuerten in the first round, but then losing to Richard Gasquet. Del Potro went further in the Sony Ericsson Open, reaching the 4th round, after he defeated 3 top 50 players, Jonas Bja Paragraph RKMAN, Marcos Baghdatis, and Mikhail Yuzny, before falling to Rafael Nadal in 2 sets. In May, he lost in the first round of the French Open to eventual champion Nadal. In his first grass court event, Del Potro beat Thomas Johansson in 2 sets and reached a second round at the Queen's Club, where he lost to Nadal. He also reached the quarter-finals in Nottingham the following week. There he beat British qualifier Jamie Baker and Kunitsin in the first 2 rounds, but lost to Ivo Karlovia at the quarter-final stage. At his inaugural Wimbledon Championships, he defeated David Sanguinetti in the first round, before losing to eventual champion Roger Federer in the second round, after a rain delay in the third set. Del Potro lost to Frank Dancevic in 3 sets in the second round of the singles at the ATP event in Indianapolis. At the same event, partnered with Travis Parrott in doubles, he won his first doubles tournament, defeating Teimuraz Garbashvili and Karlovia in the final. He regards this as a special victory. "It was fantastic to play doubles with Parrott. I'm so happy because I've never won a doubles tournament. For the rest of my life, I will remember this tournament." Del Potro qualified for the ATP Masters Series event in Cincinnati, where he reached the third round. He defeated countryman Guillermo Corplas in the first round and Philippe Kohlschreiber in the second, before losing to former world number 1 Carlos Moya. At that year's US Open, he defeated Nicolas Mahut and Meltzer, before losing to eventual finalist and third seed Novak Djokovic in the third round. He also reached the third round of the Madrid Masters by beating Potito Staros and Tommy Robredo, before losing to eventual champion David Nalbandian in straight sets. In the last tournament of the year, the Paris Masters, he reached the second round, where he lost to Nikolay Davydenko. That year, Del Potro was the youngest player to finish in the year-end top 50 at 19 years, 2 months. 2008, breakthrough. Del Potro's first half of the season was hampered by injuries and a change of coach, starting with a first-round loss in Adelaide, where he was the 7th seed. He then made it to the second round of the Australian Open in January, only to retire against David Ferrer due to an injury. Del Potro returned to the circuits in March, winning his first match against Jesse Levine at the Sony Ericsson Open, before losing in the second round to La Cubed Pez. Struggling with injuries, his ranking fell as low as number 81 in April. "At the start of the year, I was playing good, but I had many injuries, many problems with my body, with my physique," said Del Potro. "I changed my coach, changed my physical trainer, I changed everything." In May, Del Potro had to retire again, this time in a first-round match against Andy Murray at the Rome Masters. During the second set, the Argentine allegedly made derogatory comments about Murray's mother which resulted in a complaint to the umpire. Del Potro's serve was subsequently broken 3 times in a row, and he suffered a back injury, which caused his retirement. In his second Grand Slam of the year, the French Open, he was eliminated in the second round by Simone Bolelli in 4 sets. In June, he reached the semi-finals of the Ordina Open, losing to eventual winner and top seed David Ferrer in straight sets. For the second year in a row, he was knocked out of Wimbledon in the second round. He won his first-round clash with Pavel Angstrom-Nobel in straight sets, but then lost to Stanislas Wawrinka. A successful summer followed for the Argentine. In July, Del Potro and his team decided to remain in Europe to test his fitness. "We decided to play on clay courts for my back because if I start to play again on hard courts, maybe I will injure it again," he recalled. Del Potro won his first career ATP Tour title at the Mercedes Cup in Stuttgart, defeating Gasquet in straight sets in the final. A week later, Del Potro reached his second career ATP Tour final at the Austrian Open in Kitzbühel 1/4 hell, where he beat local hope and 6th seed Meltzer in less than an hour, to claim his second title in 2 weeks. Having competed in just 2 clay tournaments all of the 2007 season, he never thought he would win his first 2 titles on clay courts. In August, Del Potro won his 3rd consecutive title at the Countrywide Classic in Los Angeles, beating Andy Roddick in straight sets in the final. After the match, Roddick praised his opponent. Del Potro hits this way and this way kind of equally, and he can hit it from inside out and running to it, which is a good thing for him, bad for the rest of us. A fourth consecutive title followed a week later in the Legg Mason Tennis Classic in Washington, D.C., where he recorded a victory over Viktor Troicki, becoming the first player in ATP history to win his first 4 career titles in as many tournaments. "I don't really understand what I did. It is difficult to believe that I have won 4 consecutive titles," Del Potro said, crediting coach Franco Davín for his impressive run. "He changed my game. He changed my mind. He changed everything. When I play and I see him in the stands, it gives me confidence. I can play relaxed." At the 2008 US Open, Del Potro progressed to the third round, where he won his first match to 5 sets in the circuit against Gilles Simon to reach the round of 16. He went on to defeat Japanese teenager Kei Nishikori in straight sets. In the quarterfinals, he was stopped by eventual finalist Murray, losing after almost 4 hours. The defeat came after 23 consecutive victories, the second longest winning streak in 2008 and the longest winning streak by a player outside the top 10 in the last 20 years. Del Potro was selected to play his first home-based Davis Cup tie, between Argentina and Russia. He won his first singles match against Davydenko in 3 sets. He also won the 5th and deciding match against Igor Andreev in straight sets, booking Argentina a place in the final. At the AIG Japan Open Tennis Championships, he made the final by defeating 11th seed Jarko Niemann, top seed and defending champion Ferrer, and 4th seed Richard Gasquet. He was defeated by Tomaso Berdych in the final. At the Madrid Masters, he lost in the quarter-finals in straight sets to Roger Federer. He reached the semi-finals of his next tournament, the Davidoff Swiss Indoors, before losing to countryman Nalbandian. He was beaten by Nalbandian again in his next tournament, this time it was in the second round of the Paris Masters. Del Potro blamed fatigue for his defeat. "It's difficult to play the last tournament of the year. I was tired, my mind was in Argentina, the venue for the Davis Cup final." This left Del Potro's qualification for the 2008 Tennis Masters Cup out of his hands. Fortunately for him, Jo-Wilfried Tsonga beat James Blake in the semi-finals, which was enough to ensure his place at the year-end event. Del Potro won 1 match at the Masters Cup, against Tsonga, but lost his other 2 matches against the higher-ranked Djokovic and Davydenko, meaning that he exited the tournament in the round-robin stage. This was his last event of the year on the ATP Tour. He went on to lose 1 match in the Davis Cup final, against La Cubed Pez, as his team succumbed to a 3-1 loss against Spain. He was forced to withdraw from his second match due to a thigh injury and was replaced by Jose Copyright Ekazuzo. Nonetheless, Del Potro enjoyed a successful season, winning 4 titles and finishing 2008 as the youngest player in the top 10, top-ranked Argentine, and highest-ranked South American. 2009, maiden Grand Slam title, at the Heineken Open in Auckland, New Zealand, Del Potro was the top seed. He defeated American Sam Querrey in the final to win the title, the 5th of his career. Seeded 8th at the Australian Open, he beat Marin Oier in the 4th round. Del Potro's tournament ended in his next match, when he lost in straight sets to Federer. At the BNP Paribas Open, the 6th seed Del Potro advanced to the quarter-finals, where he was defeated by world number 1 Nadal. Del Potro avenged that loss the following week at the Sony Ericsson Open, where he came back from a double breakdown in the 3rd set at 0-3 to defeat Nadal in the quarter-finals. This was the first time Del Potro had defeated Nadal in 5 meetings. Despite a loss in the semi-finals to Murray, Del Potro reached a career-high ranking of world number 5. In the clay court season, Del Potro was eliminated in the second round of the Monte Carlo Masters by Ivan Dubuis. In Rome, Del Potro beat Viktor Troicki and Arinka to advance to the quarter-finals, where he was defeated by defending champion Djokovic in straight sets. This meant Del Potro's head-to-head record with the Serb was now 0-3. Del Potro then played at the 2009 Madrid Masters. After defeating Murray for the first time in the quarter-finals, he lost to Federer in the semi-finals. At the French Open, where he was 5th seed, Del Potro defeated Michael Lodra, Troicki, Andreev, and 9th seed Tsonga en route to the quarter-finals. He then defeated three-time former quarter-finalist Tommy Robredo to get to his first semi-final of a Grand Slam. He was defeated in a close semi-final, where he was leading by a set twice, by eventual champion Federer who, after their match, said, "Del Potro is young and strong, I have a lot of respect for him." Prior to this encounter, Del Potro had never taken a set from Federer in their 5 previous career meetings. At the 2009 Wimbledon Championships, his poor grass court form from the past continued, as he went down to unseeded Lleyton Hewitt in the second round. In the Davis Cup quarter-final against the Czech Republic, Del Potro won his matches against Evo-1 registered trademark and Berdych in straight sets, but Argentina still lost the tie to a Euro-3, eliminating them from the competition. A few weeks later, he defeated Hewitt and Fernando Gonzalez en route to the Washington final. He successfully defended his title against top-seeded Wimbledon finalist Andy Roddick to win his second tournament of the year and become the first player since Andre Agassi to win back-to-back Washington titles. Del Potro played the following week at the Masters 1000 in Montreal, where he was seeded 6, defeating world number 2 Nadal in the quarterfinals, his second win in a row over Nadal. He then defeated Roddick in the semi-finals, saving a match point, to advance to his first Masters 1000 final, and to improve his head-to-head record against Roddick to 3-0. In the final, he lost against Murray in 3 sets. He later withdrew from the next Masters 1000 event in Cincinnati due to fatigue. Seeded 6th at the 2009 US Open, Del Potro began by defeating Juan Martín del Potro and Jan Meltzer in straight sets, before dropping a set but defeating Carl Paragraf to reach the 4th round. He defeated a resurgent Juan Carlos Ferrero to advance to the quarter-finals for the second consecutive year. Del Potro then advanced to the semi-finals by defeating maɾʻtin. Del Potro was down a set and a break, before winning 17 of the final 20 games to win the match. His advance to the semi-finals ensured his return to the top 5 in the rankings. He then easily defeated world number 3 and reigning Australian Open champion Rafael Nadal in the semi-finals to reach his first Grand Slam final. This was his 3rd consecutive victory over Nadal and made him the first Argentine to reach a Grand Slam singles final since Mariano Puerta at the 2005 French Open. In the finals, Del Potro rallied from a set and a breakdown to defeat world number 1 and 5-time defending champion Roger Federer in 5 sets. His first victory over Federer after 6 previous defeats, and Federer's first loss in the US Open since 2003. Del Potro stated, "Since I was young, I dream with this intake trophy with me," said Del Potro, who became the first Argentine male to win the title since Guillermo Vilas in 1977. "I did my dream, and it's unbelievable moment. It's amazing match, amazing people. Everything is perfect." After the match, Federer praised Del Potro. "I thought he hung in there and gave himself chances and, in the end, was the better man. He is the first player since countryman David Nalbandian to defeat Federer at the US Open, and at 198 cm, he is the tallest ever Grand Slam champion." Besides Nadal, Del Potro is the only player to defeat Federer in a Grand Slam final, and the first player to defeat both Nadal and Federer in the same Grand Slam tournament. Dickenberg hosted the post-match ceremony during which a victorious Del Potro requested to address his fans in Spanish. Dickenberg declined the request saying that he was running out of time, but went on to list the corporate-sponsored prizes Del Potro won. A couple of minutes later, Del Potro made the same request again, and only then did Dickenberg relent saying, very quickly, in Spanish, he wants to say hello to his friends here and in Argentina. An emotional Del Potro finally spoke a few sentences in Spanish to a cheering crowd. Many viewers expressed disappointment with Dickenberg and broadcaster CBS over the interview. A CBS executive later defended Dickenberg, noting that the contract with the United States Tennis Association required that certain sponsors receive time during the ceremony. In his first match since the US Open, Del Potro was upset by world number 189 Apparel Roger Vaslin in straight sets at the Rakuten Japan Open Tennis Championships in Tokyo. He then lost his second straight match to Meltzer in the second round at the Masters 1000 event in Shanghai, retiring while trailing in the second set. This retirement caused concerns over the length of the tennis season. He had to retire again in the Paris Masters quarter-finals when down 0-4 to Reid Gangstrom taper neck due to an abdominal injury. In November, Del Potro competed in the ATP World Tour Finals, where he lost his first round-robin match against Andy Murray, but he managed to defeat Fernando Verdasco in his second match to keep his hopes alive. After defeating Roger Federer in the following match, he qualified for the semi-finals, ousting Murray by the slimmest possible margin of 1 game. He defeated Robin Czar-Delling in the semi-finals, before losing to Nikolay Davydenko in the final. Del Potro finished 2009 as the youngest player in the top 10, top-ranked Argentine, and highest-ranked South American for the second consecutive year. 2010, best ranking and wrist injury. Del Potro started his 2010 season at the AAMI ʻxwan Classic in Melbourne, Australia with a win over Croatian world number 24 Ivan Ljubija. On January 11, he moved up to a career-high world number 4. He was scheduled to face Frenchman Jo-Wilfried Tsonga on day 2 of the ʻxwan Classic exhibition tournament, but withdrew due to a wrist injury. He came into the 2010 Australian Open with the injury not healed, and was forced to take a month off after the event. In the fourth round, he fell to eventual semi-finalist maɾʻtin. Following the Australian Open loss, Del Potro missed several tournaments, including the Masters tournaments at Indian Wells and Miami, which were touted as potential return dates, due to the persistent wrist injury. Even though he withdrew from the Monte Carlo Rolex Masters, he regained the world number 4 ranking, due to Murray's early exit in the second round. He then withdrew from Barcelona and the Rome Masters. He was going to return the week beginning May 2. However, on May 4 Del Potro took the option of having an operation to fix the injury. On May 19, Del Potro said he would not defend his US Open title, but if all went well, he would appear after the event, targeting the Paris Masters as a possible comeback. However, on July 22, the USTA stated that Del Potro was expected to defend his US Open crown. The player himself confirmed that his comeback to the tour would be the Thailand Open and said nothing about the New York event. On August 2, Del Potro returned to the practice courts. A week before the start of the US Open, after practicing for 2 weeks, Del Potro withdrew from the event, as he felt he was not ready to compete at the highest level. After the 9-month break, Del Potro confirmed that he would make his return at the 2010 PTT Thailand Open. In his return match, he lost in the first round to Olivier Rochus. He then also played at the 2010 Rakuten Japan Open Tennis Championships, but again lost in the opening round, this time to Feliciano Lopez. 2011, return to tour. Del Potro began his 2011 season at the Medibank International as a wildcard entry. In the second round, Del Potro was defeated by Florian Mayer of Germany in straight sets, despite winning against 6th seed Feliciano Lopez in 3 sets. His next tournament would be the first Grand Slam of the year at the 2011 Australian Open, where Del Potro was defeated by 21st seed Marcos Baghdatis in the second round. As a result, Del Potro slipped further down the rankings to number 485. After the Australian Open, he participated in the 2011 SAP Open in San Jose, where he was accepted into the main draw via protected ranking. He reached the semi-finals without dropping a set, however he lost to top seed Fernando Verdasco in straight sets. Del Potro's next scheduled tournament was the 2011 Regions Morgan Keegan Championships and the Cellular South Cup, where he was accepted into the main draw via wildcard. Here, he made his second consecutive ATP semi-final, where he lost to top seed, world number 8, and eventual champion Andy Roddick. To continue preparing for his first ATP Masters event since 2009, Del Potro entered the 2011 Delray Beach International Tennis Championships. He defeated Rioardis Berankis, Teimuraz Gabashvili, Kevin Anderson and second seed Mardy Fish, to advance to an ATP-level final stage of a tournament since 2009 at the Barclays World Tour Finals in London. In the final, he defeated an erratic Janko Tipsarevic in 2 sets to get back in the winner's circle. Del Potro's next tournament was the ATP Masters at the 2011 BNP Paribas Open. He reached the semi-finals, where he lost to top-seeded Rafael Nadal in straight sets. Del Potro then flew to Key Biscayne, Miami to participate in the second ATP Masters of the year at the 2011 Sony Ericsson Open. Del Potro made it to the 4th round. In the 3rd round he defeated world number 4 Robin Zaar-Paragraf-Delling in straight sets, however in the next round he lost to eventual semi-finalist Mardy Fish in straight sets. He then played in 2011 Estoril Open, which was Del Potro's first tournament on clay since he lost the 2009 Roland Garros semi-final to the eventual champion Roger Federer. In Estoril, he defeated Fernando Verdasco in the final. On the way to the final, Del Potro defeated top-seeded Robin Zaar-Paragraf-Delling and dropped just 1 set in his 5 matches. After suffering an 8mm tear in his left rectus, Del Potro withdrew from 2011 Mutua Madrid Open and did not participate in the 2011 Internazionale BNL d'Italia, but confirmed that he would play the French Open. Del Potro lost to Novak Djokovic in the 3rd round. Del Potro reached the round of 16 at Wimbledon for the first time by defeating Flavio Cipolla, Olivier Rochus, and Gilles Simon. He then lost to world number 1 Rafael Nadal, in 4 sets, in the 4th round. Del Potro returned to the top 20 at world number 19 for the first time in nearly a year. His next tournament was the Farmers Classic in Los Angeles, where he received a first-round bye as the 2nd seed. He defeated James Blake but was defeated by Ernest Skulbys in the quarter-finals. At the 2011 Rogers Cup, seeded 16th, Del Potro defeated Jarko Niemann before losing to Marin Oier in the 2nd round. At the Western and Southern Masters tournament, Del Potro lost to Roger Federer, snapping the 2-match winning streak he had against his rival. Del Potro entered the 2011 US Open seeded 18th. He beat Filippo Volandri and Diego Junqueira before losing to Gilles Simon in the 3rd round, thus ending his US Open campaign. After the US Open, Del Potro played in the Davis Cup semi-final against Serbia, winning both of his rubbers against Janko Tipsarevic and world number 1 Novak Djokovic. This helped Argentina to a 3-2 victory over Serbia in the semi-finals, booking their place in the final. He then played in the Stockholm Open, losing in the 2nd round to James Blake. He then reached a final in Vienna, losing for the first time to Jo-Wilfried Tsonga. Despite having won the first set, he eventually lost the final. Del Potro then reached the semi-finals of the Valencia Open 500, losing to eventual champion Marcel Granollers. He then withdrew from the Paris Masters due to a shoulder injury, wiping out his chances of qualifying for the year-end championships. Del Potro played in the Davis Cup final, with the title on the line and looking to fulfill his childhood dream. He lost in the 2nd rubber to David Ferrer, despite being 2-1 up, eventually losing in a pulsating 5-set contest in a match lasting over 5 hours. With his country down to a 1, Del Potro needed to beat Rafael Nadal in the reverse singles to keep the tie going. Del Potro dominated the first set, but could not keep his level up and lost in 4 sets. For the 3rd time in 6 years, Argentina lost in the finals of the Davis Cup World Group, this time 3-1. Del Potro finished the year ranked world number 11, despite being ranked number 485 at one stage. He was named 2011 ATP Comeback Player of the Year, 2012, returned to the top 10 and Olympic medal. Del Potro's first tournament of the year was the 2012 AP International Sydney, where he was the top seed. He made it to the quarter-finals after receiving a bye into the 2nd round. He defeated Angstrom Erkazkibot in the 2nd round. In the quarter-finals, he was beaten by Marcos Baghdatis. In the 1st round of the 2012 Australian Open, Del Potro defeated Adrian Mannarino in 4 sets. He reached the quarter-finals of the Grand Slam for the 2nd time, losing to Roger Federer in the quarter-finals. He went on to play in Rotterdam at the 2012 ABN AMRO World Tennis Tournament in Rotterdam, where he was third seed. Here he defeated Thomas Soberdijk in order to make it to his first final of an ATP 500 level tournament or higher after returning from his wrist injury in 2010. He lost to Federer in straight sets in the final. At the Open 13 in Marseille, Del Potro defeated Davydenko, Gasquet, Tsonga, and Michael in the final to get his 10th ATP championship. Del Potro then had a good run in Dubai, reaching the semi-finals, then losing to Roger Federer again in straight sets. Del Potro lost in the quarter-finals of the BNP Paribas Open to Federer for the fourth time that year. He made it to the fourth round of the Sony Ericsson Open, but lost to David Ferrer in 2 sets. Del Potro started his clay court campaign of 2012 in the Davis Cup quarter-finals against Croatia. He won his first rubber against Ivo Karlovic and then demolished maɾʻtin in the reverse singles. He continued his clay court season at the Estoril Open, where he was the defending champion and the top seed. He did not drop a set en route to the finals, where he beat Frenchman Richard Gasquet in straight sets in the final to collect his 11th ATP World Tour title. He next competed in the Madrid Masters as the 12th seed and defeated Florian Mayer, Mikhail Yuzny, maɾʻtin, Alexander Dolgopolov, but lost to Thomas Soberdijk in the semi-finals. Del Potro played at the second Grand Slam of the year, the French Open, where he was seeded 9th. Del Potro defeated Albert Monti ± a copyright S, a Permildoard Roger Vaslin and maɾʻtin. He defeated 7th seed Thomas Soberdijk before losing to Roger Federer in the quarter-finals in 5 sets, after being up 2 sets to love. At Wimbledon, Del Potro beat Robin Haase, Go Sinadar, and Kei Nishikori, before losing to David Ferrer in the 4th round. At the Olympic Games, Del Potro faced Roger Federer in the semi-finals, which resulted in the longest Olympic tennis match by duration in history, lasting 4 hours and 26 minutes, half an hour longer than the previous record holder, a Milos Raonic Joe Wilfried Tsonga match that took place 3 days earlier. The final set took 2 hours and 43 minutes. Del Potro lost the encounter, 6-3, 6-7, 17-19. Less than 2 hours after this marathon, Del Potro took to the tennis court again with Jaslad Alko for their quarter-final mixed doubles match against Lisa Raymond and Mike Bryan, which they lost. 2 days later, Del Potro defeated Novak Djokovic in the bronze medal match. It was Del Potro's first victory over Djokovic, excluding a win that occurred in the Davis Cup where Djokovic retired after dropping the first set. Del Potro returned to hard courts to play at the Rogers Cup, where he was upset by 33-year-old world number 40 Radek Angstrom Tapernek. Del Potro lost in the quarter-finals of the US Open against Djokovic. In October, Del Potro beat qualifier Grega Angstrom 1/2 EMLJA to win the Erste Bank Open in Vienna. He then beat Roger Federer to win the Swiss indoors title, in Basel. The following week, he suffered a third-round loss to Michael at the BNP Paribas Masters. During the round-robin stage of the ATP World Tour Finals, he won 2 of his 3 matches and qualified for the semi-finals, where he was defeated by Djokovic in 3 sets, after leading by a set and a break. He ended the year ranked world number 7, with a 65-17 win-loss record and 4 titles captured throughout the season. 2013, continued successes and back to the top 5, Del Potro began his season at the Australian Open, where he was upset in the 3rd round by Ra Machadi in 5 sets. Next month, he won the Rotterdam Open beating Gore El Monfils, Ernest Gulbis, Jarko Niemann, Grigor Dimitrov in the semi-finals, and Julian Benneteau in the final. At Dubai, Juan Martín beat Marcos Baghdatis, saving 3 match points, Somdev Devvarman, and Daniel Brands, but lost in the semi-finals to eventual winner Novak Djokovic. At Indian Wells, Del Potro defeated Nikolay Davydenko, Paragraph RN4, and Tommy Haas. In the quarter-finals, he beat Andy Murray for the 2nd time in 6 matches. In the semi-finals, he upset top seed Novak Djokovic, to end the Serb's streak of 22 victories. He then lost in the final to Rafael Nadal, in what was his first Masters 1000 out of 5 this year. Del Potro withdrew from the clay court season and from the French Open due to a viral infection. On the grass season, Del Potro began at the 2013 Argentine Championships, where he won his first comeback match in 3 sets against Xavier Malisse, who had achieved his biggest win at the Queen's Club against Novak Djokovic in 2010. However, it was not to be a repeated upset, as Del Potro came back from behind in the 3rd set to take the match. He defeated Daniel Evans, but only to be upset on the quarter-finals by Lleyton Hewitt. At Wimbledon, Del Potro won against Albert Ramos, Jesse Levine and Grigor Angstrom 1/2 EMLJA before advancing past the 4th round for the first time in his career, thanks to a win over Andrea Seppi. He then played David Ferrer and, despite slipping badly during the 5th point of the match and aggravating a pre-existing leg injury requiring over 5 minutes of treatment and by his own admission being close to forfeiting the match Del Potro recovered to defeat Ferrer in straight sets to advance to his first Grand Slam semi-final since the 2009 US Open without dropping a set. On July 5, Djokovic defeated him in 5 sets in 4 hours and 43 minutes, making it the longest semi-final in the history of Wimbledon men's singles. Starting the U.S. Series, Del Potro won the 2013 City Open in Washington, D.C., where he got a first-round bye, and then defeated Ryan Harrison, Bernard Tomic, Kevin Anderson on his way to the quarterfinals, Tommy Haas on the semi-finals and won the final against John Isner in 3 sets. Before the final he didn't drop a set. This was his 3rd title at the event and his 2nd of the year. Del Potro reached the semi-finals of Western and Southern Open where he won against Nikolay Davydenko, Feliciano Lacube-Pez. In the quarter-finals Dmitry Tisonovant faced John Isner, this time on the semi-finals. He lost the match in 3 sets. Del Potro got to the 2nd round of the US Open, after a 4-set victory against Guillermo Garca and Lacube-Pez, only to be upset in the 2nd round by Lleyton Hewitt in 5 sets. At the 2013 Japan Open, Del Potro beat Marcos Baghdatis, Carlos Berlocq, Alexander Dolgopolov and Nicolas Almagro before beating 3rd seed Milos Raonic to win his 3rd title of the year. In October, Del Potro reached the final of the 2013 Shanghai Rolex Masters, defeating Philip Kohlschreiber, Tommy Haas, Nicolas Almagro and Rafael Nadal en route, but eventually losing to defending champion Novak Djokovic in a 3rd set tiebreak. Later he beats Roger Federer at 2013 Swiss indoors in the final, being his 4th title of the year but lost to him at the 2013 BNP Paribas Masters and in a winner-takes-all, round-robin clash in the 2013 ATP World Tour Finals, finishing the year with a 51-16 record, winning 4 titles overall and $4,294,039. Del Potro was named Argentina Unregistered Trademark Sportsman of the Year, 2014, recurrence of wrist injury. Juan Martín del Potro began his 2014 ATP World Tour season at the APA International Sydney as the top seed, winning the tournament against defending champion Bernard Tomic in only 53 minutes. He won against Nicolas Mahut, Radek Angstrom Tapernek, and Dmitry Tisonovant en route to the title. It was his 5th title as top seed. When asked to play for Argentina in the Davis Cup, Del Potro refused, arguing problems with the press and the team, and his decision to prioritize his personal career. At the 2014 Australian Open, he won his opening match against Ryan Williams, but lost to Roberto Bautista Agut in the 2nd round, having led 2-1. Despite his 2nd-round loss, Del Potro returned to being world number 4 because David Ferrer made it only to the quarter-finals and thus lost 360 points, whereas Del Potro lost only 45 points. After the Australian Open, Del Potro required treatment for his left wrist, which has been giving him trouble since 2012. It is worth to note that when the Argentinian team lost the first-round match against Italy for the Davis Cup, the Argentinian fans in the stadium insulted Del Potro, recriminating him for putting his personal career before the team. At February, in the 2014 Rotterdam Open, he eased past Gael Monfils and Paul-Henri Mathieu in straight sets but fell to Latvian Ernest Gulbis in the quarter-finals. In the 2014 Dubai Tennis Championships, he retired against Somdev Devvarman due to wrist injury after losing the first set. Also due to his wrist injury, Del Potro withdrew from both the Masters 1000 Series 2014 BNP Paribas Open and the 2014 Sony Open Tennis, meaning a loss of 610 ATP ranking points, dropping Del Potro to world number 8. On March 23, Del Potro announced in a press conference that he was to undergo surgery to repair the problem in his left wrist. On May 30, Del Potro started training again, but his left wrist was still hurt. He also committed to play in Kuala Lumpur. Playing style: Del Potro is an offensive counterpuncher with a very powerful serve and deep, flat, top-spin ground strokes. His forehand is one of his main strengths and possibly the most powerful in the game, capable of frequently generating speeds of 100 mph, and he also possesses a very consistent and powerful double-handed backhand. Del Potro is also known to have a very low on-force error rate, making him a very good defender too. He's also comfortable going to the one-handed slice backhand, and also has considerable touch for a bigger player. Del Potro's height allows him to get a powerful first serve, often clocked in the mid-130s, and maxing out at 147 mph, and makes it easier for him to return high top-spin balls. Equipment and apparel: Del Potro briefly used the Wilson BLX Pro Tour racket for the 2010 season, but after returning from his wrist injury switched back to his Wilson Hyper Pro Staff 6.195 with K-Factor KSI ʻxwan paint job and strings with Luxilin Big Banger Up Power at 58 lb, and is sponsored by Nike. He often wore a sleeveless shirt, but starting at the 2011 season he wears ones with sleeves, a double-wide wristband, a bandana, Nike Air Max cage shoes and a pair of woven shorts when on the court. Rivalries: Big Four: Del Potro has a 14-39 record against all members of the Big Four. Roger Federer: Del Potro has a 5-15 record against Roger Federer. Despite Roger Federer winning the most matches, Del Potro won the most important one record against Federer, and the two provided epic clashes between the two players. Del Potro captured both 2012 and 2013 Swiss indoors finals against the five-time titleist of the tournament. Novak Djokovic: Del Potro has a 3-11 record against Novak Djokovic. In 2012, Del Potro won the bronze medal at the 2012 Summer Olympics in straight sets. However, in 2013, Djokovic got the upper hand on the rivalry again and won an epic five-setter at the 2013 Wimbledon Championships and a thrilling three-setter final at the 2013 Shanghai Masters. Rafael Nadal: Del Potro has a 4-8 record against Rafael Nadal. The pair played 3 semi-finals and 2 finals. Del Potro bested Nadal in the semi-finals for the first time after a 0-4 record en route to his 2009 US Open title, which was the only other time where a player managed to beat both Roger Federer and Nadal in the same Grand Slam tournament. However, the Spaniard managed to win both times in the Indian Wells Masters encounters, in the 2011 semi-final and the 2013 final. Nadal also won the fourth and last rubber of the 2011 Davis Cup final against the Argentine. Andy Murray: Del Potro has a 2-5 record against Andy Murray. In their 7 matches, only one was played in this decade. They only played one final, in the 2009 Rogers Cup, which was won by Murray. However, when Del Potro beat Murray in the quarter-finals of the 2013 BNP Paribas Open, Del Potro won against all members of the Big Four in that 2013 year. Significant finals: Grand Slam finals, singles, 1, year-end championships finals, singles, 1, career statistics. Grand Slam tournament performance timeline: key, 1 tournament. Or reached final. Semi-final. Quarter-final. Round 4, 3, 2, 1. Competed at a round-robin stage. Lost in qualification round. Absent from tournament event. Played in a Davis Cup zonal group or playoff. Won a bronze, silver or gold medal at the Olympics. A downgraded Masters Series/1000 tournament. Or a tournament that was not held in a given year. To avoid confusion and double counting, these charts are updated either at the conclusion of a tournament, or when the player's participation in the tournament has ended. References. External links. Official website, Juan Martín del Potro at the Association of Tennis Professionals, Juan Martín del Potro at the International Tennis Federation, Juan Martín del Potro at the Davis Cup.